All right, dudes. With my previous class, this is my second class in a row, and the first one uh, ran into a ton of problems with my setup here, and so I'm going to be gimping along with you guys today, but should be okay. And then as I figure things out, hopefully we'll be better off, but. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to see if I can get my webcam on again. So I'm using an 11-year-old MacBook Pro as my webcam. I used it all last semester, no problems. And this semester, for some reason, it doesn't support the app anymore. So I don't know if it's an oversight. I have to just double check things, but so I've been trying to use the web option, but there's bandwidth issues. Oops. So bandwidth issues mean like my screen was lagging or my voice stopped working, and so now got things working partially on my Mac Mini that I usually use my Mac Mini that you see my screen here for, because I can have all the newer programs like the Adobe Suite stuff that you guys have access to. But I don't have a webcam because it's a Mac Mini. So I'm like, well, why buy a webcam when I have this other computer here? But I think the department has access or has extra webcams that they're giving out for faculty. So maybe I won't have to buy one again. And how many people do we have here? Let's get a list. $20, so that's pretty much everybody, I think. Oh, signing in. Yeah, so I'm not sure how great or reliable the webcam is going to be, but I throw it on and see what happens. I mean, I'm going to be screen dictating most of the time anyway, so. Yeah, it's just saying connecting. I think it's just because my computer has an older network card. And it's finally just to that point. It's been pretty solid for 11 years old, or I guess up till 10 years. It's been awesome, but now just compatibility things just aren't. They're finally not working. Okay, cool. So welcome everybody. My name is Bernard. You guys can call me by my first name. That's perfect. People have tried to call me Professor, but or a couple people dared call me Doctor. It's like I'm no doctor. Yeah, no. Technically, I'm an adjunct instructor. I'm a peon. I'm a peon. I've been teaching this class for At least this is going on my 5th year, basically. It started in the art department. I was a grad student at UB, and for that department, it's Art 250. It's basically the same course. I've changed and updated things and this and that, so it's evolving. We're using my website here as the hub. So some people have asked me, oh, well, why isn't the course on Blackboard? For our course purposes, everything's on this site except quizzing. I'm trying to finalize quizzing on Blackboard. If that works, I'll let you guys know, obviously, and it will be good to do quizzes on there. If not, I might just forego quizzes like I had to do last semester. But it's nice to have them because it improves your retention on the different content that we cover in the class, and that's helpful as we go along. So that being said, we will be covering the syllabus and stuff. So this, if everybody got my email, 2 pertinent things on there were this website, obviously, so you have the link to it, and the syllabus. So the syllabus is also on the website, but either way, you should download that and save it, just so you have it, you have access to it. It's always going to be on the web, though, as well. Today we're going to be covering info about WebEx. We're going to be covering the syllabus. You guys will read the syllabus later. I'm not going to cover the whole thing, but I'll hit the main points to give you an overview of the course. I think we'll probably have time. I can go through some of the past student projects, but more on that here shortly. All I'm going to do is point out this compliance policy about COVID, so that if anybody does plan to go into the department for any reason, you want to make sure you're abiding by the different policies that you've been given. So question is anybody in the department right now? I'm assuming probably not. I mean, not everybody has their screens going, their webcams going. I don't have my webcam going. It just keeps saying connecting, so I don't think it's gonna go. It's kind of terrible. Okay, anywho. Oh, 1 second actually. I'm gonna switch my Wi-Fi. See if that's any different. Yeah, last class, all the hiccups I had cost like half hour trying to figure out what the hell was going on. So it was a bummer. Oh yeah, and just speaking of, if you guys, for some reason, like my audio drops out, which it did once last class, once I finalized everything, make sure you put it in the chat or vocally stop me. I'll just keep going if I don't know. You guys can't hear me, obviously. Just trying to multitask here and get my other computer going, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. Anywho, I'll have to just get a webcam and then I might have to get a new router or something. I don't know. Okay, so continuing onward here. The thing about COVID I wanted to mention is I think the first email I sent you guys, I was planning on coming into the classroom a few times over the semester on certain days where we're kind of covering new content, like doing a tutorial for a new program. I think those would be like the best days to be in there to get like hands-on, should you guys need it. Everybody's at different levels here. So that was my plan. And then I got an email that was forwarded to me from the department that stemmed from the registrar's office, I believe. And what it specified is that not only do we have to wear face masks, but everybody in the department has to wear face shields. And even at that point, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess if that keeps everybody healthy. But then it also specified that the instructor has to be a minimum of 6 feet away from students at all times. And I'm like, okay, I guess I get that, but why am I even in the classroom then? Right? There's no point. I can do the same thing I'm doing right here. So because of the limitations that they're specifying, I'm just going to forego any kind of meeting in the classroom for class. But that being said, if we're going along and you do need that more hands-on, I could still meet with you probably in person, just not in the classroom. Like during class, we'll just call it like an office meeting, one-on-one or whatever. I don't know. I don't really see even having to do that, but I'm not opposed to it if you guys are struggling and you kind of need a lot of catching up or something. You could talk to me in person. But so that's just kind of an update on that. Okay. Continuing here. So today we are going to also go over the first lecture here. It's not awful long. It's a little boring. Probably ramble a bit. Kind of get into more of that here shortly. And then vocab is for you guys. We'll talk about more of that too. So the big point here about this schedule page though is everybody should bookmark this, just so you have access. You don't have to like memorize how to spell my whole name for my website. I wanted just my last name, but I couldn't get it. So yeah, if you bookmark this, I'll be updating it as we go along. And point in case is that as I scroll down, there's this line dividing after the 30th. So I've only got a month into the semester updated. Everything past that is like from last semester that I have to rearrange and change dates and all that crap. That takes time. And I put all these, hyperlinks in and everything. So, but we got about a month updated so far. I'll mention this now just in case I forget later. I don't know why I'd forget, but for this course, I'm actually going to put this in now as we speak because I know we have a few seconds. Subscribe to Adobe CC. I'll add a link in there later at some point, but that's one of the biggest things about this class is you're going to need to have a subscription, your own subscription to Adobe CC. So that will be out of your own pocket. Point though about that is if you all are buying it, you're not using the labs, then you won't be paying any sort of lab fee. They've adjusted lab fees based on who's going to be in there, who's not going to be in there. So if you get your bill down the road and there's a question or whatever, you could always talk to the department about it. I don't have any say in it, right? I just made that whole survey just to make sure they accounted for everybody correctly, so that hopefully everybody's bill is accurate. So yeah, I think the cost of that's like 20 some bucks a month for the subscription. I think I don't know for sure because I've never went to cancel it, but I think there's something to do with once you subscribe, you have to pay for like a whole year, like month by month. So like if you go to try to cancel, I think they try to like charge you a cancellation fee or something crazy. I'm not entirely sure, but I mean you could always fight it too. I don't know. I don't know the specifics on that. All I know is we need to use it for the class, and you have to get it for now. But yeah, $100 fee. Yeah, isn't that great? But I have had a grad student who had to cancel, and she called and talked to somebody, and they removed it for her. So I don't know. I'm assuming because of COVID, they should be more accommodating if people are asking for it, but I don't know. I thought maybe study students get the suite. I have not been told by Carl anything about you guys getting the suite for free. The last I knew, somebody said something?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm the one who made the comment. I talked to Carl last semester, and as long as you sign in with the enterprise ID rather than a personal ID, and you put in your school email and stuff, I have Creative Cloud Suite from UB. I don't know if it's, it works fine for me.
Interesting. Yeah, because the last email he sent all of the faculty, which was last week or so, he said he's still in talks with Adobe about licensing, and they might be able to use these schools' licenses to give out to students. Haven't had any updates. So
He told me that he was getting it worked on, and it did something early or something. I don't know. It worked for me. I figure it's worth a try for anyone else who wants to try it though.
yeah, so I guess at that point, everybody can contact Carl because he hasn't said anything to me. So feel free to onslaught him with some emails. You just search Carl Lee UB, and you'll get his email on Google. Yep, at least I haven't got the email, so oh well. So I've just been telling everybody to buy it. Anywho, we're gonna need that for Monday, so make sure you get that going the next few days, because if we have problems or whatever, we can work them out before Monday. You're also going to have to buy, if you don't have a sketchbook, I want you guys to buy a sketchbook. And if you don't have one, if you're buying one, get one with marker paper. So you generally won't find marker paper sketchbooks like at Walmart or Target. Those are going to be at like a craft store, or if you just order on Amazon. The marker paper won't let marker won't bleed. It won't span out, right? And I require you guys to do sketches for each of the different projects that we do with marker. So really just avoiding pencil, the sketches are supposed to be like quick, fast, get ideas out. So if you get rid of the pencil, you can't erase, and then once you take photos to upload so we can collaborate on them, discuss your concepts, we'll be able to see everything in more detail, right? So you'll need to have like a couple different colors, grayscale colors. You don't need to get into like a lot of color in general, but having gray versus black, it'll help with separating some of the information when people glance at your drawing. So yeah, so I don't know if you guys try to download and set up Adobe CC using your, I would just say try to do it with your UB email and see what happens. I don't know. If they try to charge you, just like start screaming at Carl. You know, that's his job, to have people scream at him. You could tell him I said that too. It's your job, Carl. Next class, we're going to watch a movie to begin with. So I don't know. I'll probably send out a follow-up email. I'll see if I can get in touch with Carl today. But basically, next class, you guys will watch this video at the beginning of class. Let's see. It's an hour and a half long. So, you know, like the last 20 minutes of our meeting time, we'll get on WebEx and I'll talk about the introduction to the project. So that video is basically going to give you some context in thinking about directions you might take towards the project. So, you know. Okay, so I'm going to go back. Contact Carl for access. Yep. Hey, I'm just the messenger. I don't know anything. I'm a peon. Lost my train of thought. So why is this laggy? You know what? I'm just going to close my other computer out here. Okay. So that's the schedule. You guys all have that. As we go along with the schedule, for each project, I have you guys submit a proposal. So like this weekend, you'll do your first proposal. That'll be on the blog. So I'll post it on there, but the blog's right there. That's just for like a couple quick things that we're gonna be covering. Everything that's on this main site here is also on the schedule. Like the links are also there, but I put them in two different places just so that depending on your preferences of how you search for things, you know, everything's organized in a different way. So we have project links, tutorial links. The hours for the CFA are listed here, so if anybody's planning on going in for any different reason, it's probably good to know if it's open before you go there. I posted that there for you guys. We don't know yet about open lab hours, because apparently Carl is finding it hard to find anybody with work study that wants to take the job. So yeah, my office hours are going to be from 10 to noon, Mondays and Wednesdays. In the past, I've always had like office hours like up against when I teach, you know, before or after or whatever. Then I realized, like, why do I want to just stand at my computer or, you know, be at my computer for 6 hours in one day at a time? So just broke it up. If this doesn't work for you with your schedule, make sure you send me an email. and we could figure out something else if you come to need help outside of class. We're going to be covering the syllabus in a second. I didn't upgrade the grading breakdown. I just forgot about that, actually. I'll have it for next class. It just kind of shows you how everything's graded, or like how everything's weighted to calculate your grade. Because I don't use Blackboard, I do end up just posting midterm grades. So my mentality is like, well, if you keep up with the course, you do everything that you're supposed to be doing that I specify for you on the schedule, you shouldn't have to worry about your grade. And then the midterm will just be like an update for you. It's like kind of old school, I guess, but I like having control of everything on the website here. It's a little bit easier for me. There's some other relevant links for you guys here. Anybody that's planning on going into the department, they should make sure they're complying with regulations. When we submit anything for sharing or submitting work, you'll post things to the class Google Drive. So the link's here, and then whichever section you're in, and then whatever we're doing. That's a way to submit, but also you can share each other's stuff if you need to. Past student work, well, I guess we'll talk about that in a minute. But then I also have other stuff here. So as we go along, we'll have vocab for each section, lectures for each section, and then as I record pertinent days, I'll post YouTube links as well of that day's recordings. So gonna try to chunk through the syllabus for you guys. Oh, and you know what? Actually, before I do this, this is pretty pertinent for everybody, except I forgot to mention it to you guys when we started the class. For me, I'm looking at the screen that I need to be looking at, right? I don't have to go back and forth. If I do have to go back and forth, you guys see all of that anyway. But if you guys are multitasking, like watching what I'm doing while doing a demo or looking at the website, it's obviously two different screens, and not everybody has two different screens, like physical screens in front of them. So for those of you with PC, I'm not sure the process of split screening. If you're not familiar with it, you got to Google it. For Mac users, if you want to just pay attention real quick, I'll show you how to split screen. You could use this and see if it helps you through the semester. If not, you could do something else. But this seems pretty helpful. So the first thing you'd want to do for split screening on a Mac is you got to full screen one of the windows. I'm not sure why they force you to do this first, but they do. And then on your keyboard, the F3 key is like a little box with little boxes in them, right? It allows you to see all of your windows that you have open. So once you do that, you'll see your full screens at the top. So if you want to have two windows on one, you just need to drag any other program that you're working with into that full screen window on whichever side you want it on. And then all of a sudden you have both things, open at the same time. So that's that could be helpful if you're, following along with what I'm doing or whatever. I'll probably do this a lot, just so you guys know. I'll be on a topic and then be like, oh, wait a second. Kind of mini squirrel moments. Squirrel. Syllabus. Back to the syllabus. So this is another thing you guys want to just do for like homework, quote unquote. Just go through this. Is there anybody in here who isn't like 100% sure they're staying in the class? I know some people are like, oh, I might take it, I might not right now. No, yeah, everybody is staying in. I mean, because this is technically not a prereq for any other courses. I mean, there's like no logical structure for the media study department. I'm trying to be one of those promoters that's trying to get that going for some of you guys, but it's hard. Why was I bringing that up? Anyway, go ahead and read through this, over this evening or tomorrow. Gives you all the basic info of like what the expectations are going to be for this class. This is actually not accurate. I just realized earlier. Our general schedule, this week we're just getting going. Then we're gonna have a few weeks of Photoshop, and then we're gonna go from Photoshop, which is a drawing program, to a different drawing program, which is Illustrator. So like the first half of the semester is basically going to be drawing. And then after that, then we'll go into audio. And that's just like a week of audio. Not too crazy. And then going into coding, and then using that coding and the audio to generate your interactive projects, which that will be your final project. Is like a interactive coding project. So more on that in a second. Course content. I've changed things the past couple of days, so I'm just kind of reading through, see what I need to tell you guys. So each new topic that we're going to cover, like we have four projects for the semester. Each new topic I'll be doing like a lecture on. There'll be vocabulary for. As I mentioned, hopefully we'll have quizzing for as well. And then you'll kind of generate the first two projects sections, drawing programs, we'll have videos for. Those will also help you kind of like pairing with vocab and lecture to kind of get your head in the frame of mind for the project. And then after that process, you'll be generating a concept for the project. Like I'll give you the requirements for the project. You'll kind of use your ideas to generate a concept. You'll write that concept out and like submit it as text. And then that kind of locks in like, okay, that's what you're doing, right? That's step one. Then we're going into creating sketches, especially for these drawing programs. And then with those sketches and your concept, you guys will be meeting together with groups, groups of yourselves, and discussing each other's work. Because ultimately, one of the biggest points of this course is to get you guys familiar with giving and receiving feedback and how that is really critical in creating, art and collaborating within media. So, kind of just trying to give you guys an overview breakdown of how the semester is going to be. So yeah, after we go through like these little mini group meetings, we'll have like an exercise that goes over the program that we're going to be using, and then it's just a few days of like work sessions while I come around and consult you guys as you're working. For the first two projects, at least, we will be having midway critiques. So after you have like a few days of working, we'll have you guys submit an image to the Google Drive. Then again, we'll meet and we'll discuss the different images, and if they're successful in abiding by the project requirements, and are they abiding by your project statement, right? Because that's another goal of the whole thing. Is how well does it align with what you are trying to do? So as you go along, a lot of people might feel like this is a lot for a course. But I want to let you guys know that I've also went through this whole system, right? I also was in undergrad taking classes, and I've taught this class this will be my 5th year, so 4 years. This is like all just building blocks to what you really should be doing as far as how you create something, right? Like the logical process of going through, how to organize things, the right ways of which you should be doing things. So it's kind of like, it really is that like the basics, right? And sometimes it might seem a little anal to be doing really specific little things, but the point is not to be annoying. The point is for you guys to generate healthy habits that then you can take on to not only your more higher level courses, but obviously then on your own careers. So as best you can, I would go along with the schedule and the system that I've created. If you do follow through and you're doing everything you need to be doing, you don't even need to worry about your grade. You're probably going to get an A. That's the way I like to approach the course, because art is very flexible. As long as you're getting what you need to get out of it, it's not like science where if you screw up on something, it could mean life or death. I don't know what I'm trying to say with that one. Requirements. Data storage. So for those of you who do not have a backup drive to back up your whole computer with, first of all, get a backup drive. Like, what are you doing? Your media studies students, you should be teaching other people how to do that, right? If anybody needs help doing that, like for the first time, getting a drive set up, backing up your computer, let me know. I can walk you through it. What to buy if you need something. A lot of services also offer, cloud services that could back up your computer. You have to pay for it, obviously, but then you don't have to rely on a physical drive. So, yeah, either way. But for this course, bare minimum, you need to be backing up whatever you're saving to your computer. I don't care how you do that. I don't care if you really do that or not. I'm telling you to do it because every semester I have students that lose their files. They'll be like 3 weeks into working on their final project and they'll lose the whole thing. It's gone. They don't know what happened to it. And I'm just like, well, sorry, redo it. It sucks, but that's why you back up. So not only could you just back up with your whole computer, but you could use an external like thumb drive, flash drive, or you could use, UB box. Doesn't matter to me. Just like figure out what system works for you the best, and then rely on that. So my recommendation, if I were in your guys' shoes, like if you didn't have a computer, you back up your whole or a drive that you back up your whole computer. I would say first and foremost, just make a folder on your desktop with the class name, and then every single time you need to back up for the class, you just replace. You just drag and drop that whole folder to wherever you're backing up with. It'll ask you if you want to replace, and you could just say yes. That could end up getting slow over time depending on your hardware, and how much data you have. But it's a good way to start, I guess. Ensure that everything's the same, I have a lot of students who don't organize well on the computer, and then they can't find where their files are. So on Monday, we will be covering a Mac operating system demo to kind of go over the basics a little bit more. So I haven't used PC for years, so you guys will have to kind of learn your own systems. But everybody should, at least in this field, everybody should be familiar with a Mac. So it's still pertinent for me to kind of go over, even if you have a PC. Lost my train of thought. Oh, I was just going to say, I also worked at the Apple Store for, a little bit over a year. So I've got pretty good insight. I'm really, really, I guess, savvy with the Mac or with Apple in general. So definitely have some nice tips and tricks and ways to remember things there. We won't be doing any printing this semester. Like I mentioned, you guys will have to figure out how to get the cloud suite. And later we'll be downloading Audacity, which is free, and for our audio, and we'll be using P5JS for our coding interactive project. I will note that for all 4 years of teaching this class, I've been using processing. So all of my student examples for this project are in processing. So I could probably show you some, or if you have processing, if you've used it, you could download the examples and check them out. But it's not super relative because we're changing programs. The reason I'm changing is processing isn't very friendly with sharing your work, and everybody can still hear me, right? Can everybody still hear me? Yeah, I think so, probably. Hello, 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 hello. Yeah, I think I seen it drop because everybody glitched for a second. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hello? Hello. Hello? Okay.
You're back now.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to like contact IT services or something and figure out why things are weird for me. I can understand my 11-year-old MacBook isn't working correctly, but for this computer, I don't know. Maybe I'll have a good excuse to go get a brand new computer from the department. Hey, media study, give me a new computer. Yeah, if I was like a tenure faculty, I'd have them buy me like a laptop. So it kind of sucks. But anywho, sharing again. So I was just talking about P5JS and using that instead of processing. Um, Processing doesn't allow you to share content easily, whereas P5JS is JavaScript based and there's a web editor now. So we, in theory, should be able to do everything online on the web editor, which means I don't even think you need to have like a text editor. Traditionally, that's what I've used for P5. So I have taught the DMS121 Intro to Programming, which utilizes P5. I'm sure a few of you have taken that. That course, pretty much all the faculty, including myself, we just really relied on like using the coding train dude for like all of his videos, which is kind of just boring. For this class, I've developed like examples with processing, and those are much more user friendly, I believe. So I'm going to do my best to kind of translate everything that I've already done in processing over to P5, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, I've got a couple months to prepare for that. So that being said, I'm just kind of bringing it up because I don't have any direct examples of that P5 environment yet for this course. So just bringing that up for that reason. So yeah, as we go along, I'm still hoping everybody's going to be participating. Webcam, like obviously my webcam's just not working today because I didn't realize I was going to be failing. So I'll get my webcam going so we're all visually kind of together. And generally, I don't really even care if you guys have the webcam going like 24, like the full time when we're in here. Like if we're watching a video or if I'm doing a long lecture or something crazy. But when we're talking together, when we're doing like just work sessions in the lab, everybody's going to be like needing help back and forth, this and that. It's a lot easier for me to learn names too. So it'll be good to have webcams going this semester, see how that goes. Last semester, just only a few people, and it was kind of crap. Made it feel like a whole, like not even a class. So yeah, and same thing with distractions. I would just treat like this online environment just like you would an in-class environment. I don't know. I guess like this whole mentality of like forming your own good habits is kind of like more along the lines of like a graduate level mentality, because nobody holds your hand when you're in grad school. You go to the library and study when you need to study. But I want you guys to just be aware of that as we go through the semester. Enforcing good habits. I'll have more good habits to talk about here in a second. Equipment access. We're going to be getting more info probably later about that. But the only thing we're going to be using for this class, if you guys even want to use it, is going to be like microphones and recorders. for audio. So if you guys are interested, we could just talk more later about it. But I mean, you all could just use your phones to record audio too. It just won't sound as good, but you know, just depends on if you want to go into the department and get stuff out or not. It's up to you. I always gloss over this. Make sure you're not taking more than 2 production courses at a time unless you know you can handle it. Every time I hear people like, oh yeah, I'm taking like 4 classes, it'll be fine. It's not fine. It's a nightmare. I've taken 4 classes at once. And it's like, kill me now. It's miserable. Like trying to have a social life, yeah, no, forget about it. And then if you can't have a social life, your mind starts to crumble very quickly. Kind of like COVID. Yay! Everybody do jumping jacks. So this is a general breakdown. I know I don't have the full breakdown listed on the website yet, but primarily all the points are coming from the projects. They're really extensive. You know, and everything else is just supplemental, which feeds into the successfulness of your projects. So just because you're like, oh, you know, all I want is a C in this class, I'll just do the projects and nothing else. Well, if you don't really abide by, like I said, everything that I'm feeding you guys, then, you know, unless you've used all these programs before, you probably won't even get a C. So, but anyway, I'll give you guys the breakdown later. Attendance, everybody can get an A as long as you miss less than 3 classes. Like everybody can miss total of 3 classes if they really want. Beyond 3, I'll start reducing points. I've had students submit all their projects, but like duck out of class and like not show up to class a lot, in person or online, and I failed them. Like all their projects were decent. You know, if they had a good attendance, I'd probably give them like a B+. But you know, you got to be in class. It's part of the curriculum here, at least for my class. So the only other thing I want to talk about here, you guys can browse through the rest on your own time, is ergonomics. And I'm sure only like, you know, 1 or 2 of you have even heard the name ergonomics before. I have a hyperlink actually embedded here. I would head to this website and probably just bookmark it so that you can head back here. If anybody's ever had a day or a time when they worked a lot on their computer or on their phone and your neck gets really sore or a headache, or you're sitting there and you get a backache or any kind of like pain, those are early warning signs that you're screwing your body over, and over time it's not sustainable. Example A is me. I have chronic bad back issues. I've been doing physical therapy for like 4 months. This year alone, I've had to get MRIs done, this and that, degenerating discs, blah blah blah. It's from years of like ignoring like how to properly work. If you go and you're gonna lift a heavy box, what do people tell you? Like use your knee or use your legs, right? Same thing with working on the computer. Might sound really stupid. You guys don't care. When you're young, you just kind of bash your body, whatever. However, I'm kind of giving you guys vital lessons for your career here. This stuff is pretty pertinent. A lot of you probably are on a laptop. You're looking down. You do that for like 10 years chronically. You're going to develop neck problems. If your keyboard's not at the right level and you're typing a lot, you're going to create problems. So all these different components, the one here I like to show you guys too, like today it's hitting me a lot because I've been on the screen a lot and I am not used to being on a screen a lot yet, right? Give your eyes a break, look 20 feet away for 20 seconds every 20 minutes. This is just like a general rule of thumb, I guess, but it's to kind of give you a sense that our bodies aren't designed to be sitting here like tight, right? You should be moving around and getting up and doing these different things. So I'd urge you guys to really start to remember that. Like you start to feel sore, don't just do like a quick little like 3-second stretch. Like do like 5-minute walk around, stretch, get water, whatever. Over your career, that's going to help you out a lot. Potentially save you a lot of misery and health bills. So I have spoken. That's it for the syllabus. Anybody have questions? Everybody, tons of questions. I think I'm gonna. Why is my chat not on? Give me a second. I'm gonna go get some water. I have water, but for some reason it tastes like crap. Oh shit! I'm also gonna get a towel and wipe up the water that I just spilled on my keyboard. Is this like a foreshadowing of what the semester is gonna be like? Just a shit show? Alright, let's reconvene here in like 5 minutes, dudes. I'll finish up a lecture and stuff after that. So Avery, I was just saying we're gonna take a break. I'm gonna get some water. This one tastes like shit, and I want to shake it like I normally do. The lid was off. Dumped it on my laptop or my laptop. That keyboard's $100. Oh no, I didn't dump it on the laptop. I meant to say keyboard. already did the rest of them. When I mentioned to her, yeah, if you want to just, you have whoever dishes, put them in the sink. No. Yeah, let's just dump out all the money. Dump it all down the drain. Only. Now you gotta count. You better be drinking like a cup a day. Or drink almond milk. I don't know what the big deal is. Almond milk fast. Well, because you're used to milk. I am now used to almond milk. You like get used to it.
I like my milk from a cow.
I don't know, paying for half of your milk that comes down there.
I did.
No. No. No.
No, I bought this actually. I went out of eBay with it.
I know, I took the receipt.
I figured it out. Just
Ooh.
paid for it.
I didn't put water on the pitcher. So we got those lemons from Aldi. They're shit. They look fine, they taste like crap.
Cheers, yeah. Thank you, Robin.
Okay, I'm back. I hit a bunch of keys trying to clean my my keyboard off. Quit. Yeah, I'm a little spaced out today. I'm staring at the screen and talking. So I was sitting there talking about, oh, I need different water, and then my lid was off my bottle and I shook it. Okay, all right, here we go. Where was I at? I guess just covering. We've covered syllabus. We have almost 40 minutes. I'll show you guys some examples, I guess. However, I don't know how many I can get into with processing. Plus, they're going to be laggy if I show you. Anyway. The first project is Photoshop. And why is this messed up? Hang on a tick. This is weird. What? I literally... Oh, I think I know why. Oh, okay, duh. My bad. Photoshop I haven't spent time updating. So some of these are from, you know, the years past in the art department. And some of them... Oh, actually, I don't even know if any of them are from DMS. But... as I mentioned before, at least these drawing projects, they're pretty much the same requirements. You know, they're just different departments. But these are some different Photoshop projects, giving you guys some kind of examples. And they're all different varying levels of use. Like some people have never used Photoshop before, some people have. And a lot of this project, I don't know if I mentioned, this is going to be a reoccurring theme for you guys, so I apologize now. I tend to forget when I've said something to you guys, or if I haven't, because I teach 2 classes back to back of the same thing. I might say one thing to the first class and then think I told you. So I apologize if that happens a lot. So the first Photoshop project is basically going to be that entry-level program where we just explore some options and play around and jam things together and play with filters and mess around and try to make something creative and interesting. It's not going to be so critical, right? So all of these are going to be more playful and kind of like just that general goal of having something fun to look at. For whatever reason, some of them aren't loading. And they're all completely different based on the principle that everybody has their own concepts for each project, right? And like, so this was a student who did only scans from a specific old set of I don't remember what it was, architect journals or something. I don't know. It was from like the 50s or 60s and only used that kind of content. So as we'll get into more, next class, everybody can take different approaches. This project was based on anxiety, depression. This one was like a mad scientist, like cyborgian kind of subculture. This was like a butterfly, but it's actually a mashup of like a little girl, clocks. Not everyone's gold. This one's Jocelyn's. Some of you might know her from the equipment room. I think she's doing her master's now. So it could be abstract. The whole point here is you're playing around. Different filters, features, right? Some could be like dreamlike sequences. So that's the first project. Then once we're done with that, we start to think a little bit more critically in terms of how we're executing our ideas. And this second project using Illustrator focuses more on using type to deliver your message. And with type comes the responsibility and focus of design. So it's going to be more heavily on design and utilizing type in its own right to make images. So your message, whatever you decide is going to be your topic, you're going to be delivering that message visually. And obviously, because you could use type, that'll help you to some degree, right? But that's why you'll see in most of these, they're all really focusing. There's a lot of type in them. And there are just a bunch of different ways, again, because everybody's got a different proposed project. And obviously, you don't even know all of the themes of these, like what they're trying to say, but to some extent they do display a meaning, right? You could look at each of these and you're like, oh, this project's on this particular thing. Somebody's trying to say something. And you can get that more with these projects, right? Because they are more critical and they obviously are using type to help pass that message. So we kind of start off easygoing, playful, experiment, then step back and be a little bit more critical and really focus in on what we're trying to do. And then once we have these two different applications down, then that's when we start to get into just changing course and playing with audio. And you could take, with audio, I don't have the examples on here. I've never actually sat down and organized audio examples. It's a little bit of an oversight, I realize, but audio is, again, whatever approach you want to take. It's, for my purposes, I just want you guys to be able to record audio, import audio, layer it, alter it, change how you're, change the playback, play with effects. And then in a similar way, you create a proposal and then you generate some kind of files that are based on that proposal, right? So it's the same kind of structure as you see it as we're going along. The format of the course continues. You just keep fine-tuning it as the projects go along. And then as far as interactive, I think I have a few on here still. Let me see if I have a couple good examples. This is just from last semester, so. This one's nice. I'm a Seinfeld fanboy. This is a Seinfeld project. So again, I guess these projects, realistically, they can be whatever you want. You could pair it with another class interest. You could, it's all, I don't know. I guess I won't get into too much on it. I'm just kind of showing you an overview of different expectations. So this project specifically is kind of page-based, right? It just has interactive elements where you can kind of go through. I don't know if the audio is going to come through or how it's going to come through. So this project, it went through a couple different iterations and we ran into problems, so he kind of just dropped back and did a really simple way. But originally he had this stuff draggable. Oh, I guess it did kind of drag right there. Like you still have to drag stuff, but you don't see it dragging. It's a problem. So it kind of goes through trying to give you facts about Seinfeld or whatever. Not facts, but like funny comments. I don't know if it's... Can you guys hear the audio at all, by the way? A little bit? Okay. So that's kind of like a page-based example, kind of straightforward. You have a cause and effect. And you're using, in that circumstance, just like keyboard press or mouse clicks. But you could think of this as like expanding to any kind of external input that you want to connect to a computer. To some extent, it depends on what the limitations of P5.js is going to be. But I guess for this class purposes, because we are not in the classroom, we're all at home, it'll probably be limited to like keyboard, mouse, and microphone because everybody has those, right? Or they should have those. In the past, like I've got Microsoft or Xbox Connects that I can hand out or loan, or the department has them. However, if you make a project with that and somebody else goes to like play around your project, they can't because they don't have the hardware. So just kind of pointing things out. Abstract art. I don't know if I have any playful one. I can't remember everybody's. Uh-oh. Can you hear me still? Crap. Hello? Can you guys hear me? Hello, hello? Hello, hello, hello? Okay, perfect. I seen you guys all blank out. So that would allude to me that I have a network issue here at home. I have to figure out why. Yay, technology! I don't know. Does anybody? How about this? Does anybody have questions about the interactive coding project? Maybe that'll be easier because I don't have everything prepped right now. I made sure I had some updated stuff on Illustrator, Photoshop up there, but if anybody has questions. So yeah, I mean, it's realistically just going to be like an intro, where I understand not everybody's coded before, so the expectations won't be crazy. But if you have coded before, like if you have taken the intro to programming, you know, my expectation would be that you already have gotten through like object orientation, so you'd be able to continue on with that, and you know, at least keep yourself fresh with that and create something along that line. But it's just kind of get your feet wet to continue onward in the other courses that you might have to do some coding with. And some of you might not have to code after this, so it's going to be very, very minimal. I don't think I mentioned to you guys, my first semester teaching coding, I had never used coding. So within about a week and a half, I learned the program before I started teaching it. So obviously I've got a lot more experience now, but just to kind of show you guys that it's not that hard to pick up. A lot of people are kind of put off with coding. It's definitely pretty awesome in comparison to like a computer science major where it's very technical and like you don't really see a lot of what's going on. Here it's very cause and effect. We're dealing with like images and audio, and it's pretty fun to play around with. So I'm going to kind of drop off any other examples for right now, and just get through this this lecture, and then that's it for today. Oh, let's see if I can fix my notes. Let me pull up my other computer for notes real quick. I just decided I want Jell-O. I don't even know if I have Jell-O. I don't remember the last time I've had Jell-O. I just really want Jell-O. iCloud.com. So yeah, if you guys have an Apple ID, you can just hop right on this anytime you want. If you're on your phone, you're limited to just viewing it. But if you're on your computer, you should have this access at the top left here. There's this little, if you can see the top left, this little kind of button. You could turn on presenter notes, which is helpful if you missed class and you're trying to catch up, or you forgot something and you want to look back. You could always turn them on and see kind of like an idea of what I was going over. But for the most part, if you're in class just following along, I'd leave those off because it's just really, really distracting and weird to like wait for me to say something that you're reading. But I like to make sure I have them up at least so I don't forget anything that I wanted to make sure I covered. So this overview is going to be focusing on, why knowing the technical components of computers matter. And we're not going into anything crazy here. This is like general knowledge that everybody should know. This is like stuff like if you don't know by the time you're getting a job within this field, if you don't know everything that I'm going to cover, it almost is going to be like an embarrassment, with other people around you. It's not that you have to have every single thing in here memorized, but you should know of it and why they matter and this and that and the history of things. So thank you all for bearing with me while I wait on my 11-year-old computer to connect to a website. Sweet. So yeah, this first lecture is to get everybody on the same page. Make sure everybody's. I guess all of the lectures are like that, right? Everybody's at a different level. Some of you in here are seniors. I don't know if everybody knew that. Like everybody's at a different level in their undergraduate career. Media studies really lackadaisical on generating any sort of structure for any content areas outside of film. Like with film, they media studies is like a film department basically. However, it's really not. But nobody's taken the initiative to kind of solidify anything. People have proposed a department, but it never gets anywhere. So makes my job a little weird because I don't know where everybody's at. But so we're going to kind of start at the basics here. And the reason being is the example I like to say is knowing the computer that you're working with is kind of like being a professional painter and knowing like how to use your paints, how to mix paint, how to use your brushes the right way, how to stretch your canvas, right? The software and tools that you have are important to execute, whatever it is you're working on. So I'll also be going over the Mac operating system a little bit. And on Monday, I'll be going over like a mini demo as well. I know not everybody's using Mac, but it is like industry standard for this kind of content. Continuing on. I've built in some questions and crap in here, but it doesn't really pass too well when everybody's remote. When everybody's in the classroom, it kind of goes a little bit smoother. But so I generally ask like, what is a computer? Everybody has an idea of like, oh, the computer is this thing that I plug into the wall and it does stuff for me. A computer is really any kind of device that computes. So it doesn't have to be a digital computer. It could also be some kind of analog computer. And most of you who don't even know what analog is are like, oh yeah, okay. But like, what is analog? Every semester I always ask, and come to find out most of you don't know really what analog is, or maybe you have a general idea, but you don't really know like how it affects you or why knowing this would matter. So I built that into the presentation here. And you could think of analog as anything that you can touch. So anything that's like physical media, that's analog. You're in the analog world, right? We're speaking through the digital world, through this binary like ones and zeros, right? And I'm going to give it like a backstory on all this stuff as well, but I like to start this off with this question here. So like, what is in this image? Is it analog or is it digital, right? Well, everything you're looking at is analog. It's physical media. The keyboard is analog media. This actual screen on that old iMac is an analog CRT, like tube TV. But the computer itself is actually a digital computer. It's processing digitally, literally. Notes. So the conundrum then still is like, well, like what is this analog stuff? Analog is anything that is like a flow, that consists of a flow of data. So if you're on a computer and you have a hard drive and your hard drive limitation is 500 gigabytes, you know that you can fit up to, quote unquote, 500 gigabytes of data on that hard drive, right? If you're in the real world and I ask you to give me exactly to the decimal 1 cup of water, none of you would probably be able to get that exactly. I mean, yeah, a cup of water is a cup of water, but like, is a couple drops more, a couple of drops less gonna matter? I mean, technically yes, but like, where's the line being drawn? So you could think of analog as being this ability for the data to be in flux, right? Like electricity. Electricity is just measured by things like digital meters, but in reality, it is a physical medium, right? So when computers started back in the day here, they dealt on that physical media of electricity, and like these, what do you want to call them? Tubes, these vacuum tubes on the wall that you can see here on this massive like room computer, dealt with using a vacuum, right? Using like pressure, and that system, I mean, worked to a degree. Like, we wouldn't be generating those kinds of systems if they weren't beneficial. Those first systems were generated out of the need to try to get an upper hand on, in World War II. There's like documentaries and movies on that point. But in general, computers helped both sides try to decode the enemy's transmissions and thus win battles and try to get the upper hand. So over time, more and more industries realized they could use it, so forth, whatever, it's developed, right? Well, this system, sure, it worked, but the problem is that it wasn't accurate to a T like digital would be, right? Because we're dealing with a flux of data, not a solid line of data. And not only that, this room of tubes was extremely hot. Those tubes were expensive to replace because they went bad every so often. And how do you find the one that's bad, right? They're like into a wall. So just in general, like it ultimately was a flawed system that flawed in the sense that like digital was going to be a better solution for continuing development. So that digital solution revolved around the use of oops, I'm one slide too far ahead over here. Transistors. So these things on the left are transistors. They are what is allowing us to have this conversation right now. Back then, when things were being developed, it was a very small number of transistors. Basically, what these are is you have a current going in, a current going out, and a gate. Just like a light switch, right? If you put the light switch up, the light goes on. You're allowing that connection to be made. If you combine all of these over and over and over again, you can create a system that speaks to itself, that can run calculations, so forth. So over time, they were developed into these integrated circuits so that people could use an integrated circuit with whatever it is they're developing instead of, hundreds or thousands of these individual transistors. And over time, they got cheaper and cheaper. And in the 1953 was the approximate date when everything, not everything, but when these integrated circuits were starting to be in production and you could buy them. And this observation kind of theory, Moore's law, was developed by this guy named Moore. I'm sure a lot of you've heard. The theory was that the number of transistors in an integrated circuit doubles about every 2 years. So, as you can see, over time, the amount of transistors keeps going up, and it is pretty close to doubling over time. Up until recently, Moore's law has been considered to be dead because we've run into a barrier with how much, like the limitations of how many transistors we can fit into a physical space on silicon. So a lot of people have speculated like Moore's law has been dead. And then a couple years have gone by and people started realizing like, oh, well, wait a second. Just because we don't have more physical computing power right in front of us doesn't mean we still have access to it through other devices such as the web, right? We have like different cloud computing services now that we have access to that can supplement our computer. So, and a lot of stuff that we used to have to rely on, like our physical limitations of our computer to run, now can run right through the web on somebody else's server. So, it's not necessarily like completely dead. It's just like we're changing the way our technology is evolving. And speaking of evolving technology, I always like to talk about what's also in the future. I'm not going to go into depth on this. This is just for something you guys could look up if you're interested. So, currently we're in this like binary computer system of ones and zeros. The next system that everybody is banking on, is investing billions of dollars into, like Google, IBM, so forth, is quantum computing. And the whole point of the quantum computer is that it can have faster processing ultimately down the road than our traditional computers. And yeah, obviously it's not anywhere near commercially viable. It's barely, being, it's barely like working as of right now. I haven't kept up with a lot of the information and news. But I guess the only thing I want to point out is that the way, if you go and start researching it, the way of understanding it is a little bit conflated. It's a little hard to wrap your head around, and that's just really the nature of quantum computing. To my understanding, quantum computing accesses like a quantum realm. So instead of like running a computation and either could have an answer of 0 or 1, you could have an answer of both or somewhere in between or just one, or like it's really hard for me to explain. I'm not a computer science major, but it's something to kind of keep in mind where we're heading in the future. If you guys are students of media. Oops, why did I hit that? No. Continuing. We'll just continue. Modern. We are in the modern world. So all this stuff is hardware. Yeah, hardware. I'm skipping forward on this. So yeah, we're just going to kind of briefly discuss the things under the hood that makes a computer work. It's not, strictly speaking, a magic box that does stuff for you. I mean, it is, but there's reasons, right? So a logic board is the main interface of your computer. It is what everything else connects to. It is the hub, right? All of your internal components of your computer are directly connected to this hub, such as your RAM, your processor, your clock, any peripherals like USB drives you plug in, they're directly connecting to that. So I'm just going to briefly talk about the main ones that you should be aware of. Not covering everything. Like, you guys aren't expecting to build your own computers or anything. This is just kind of interesting, showing you like the number of transistors back in the 70s compared to the number of transistors now. As of 2017, this is probably like, what, more than doubled by now or somewhere in there. I don't have the specs in front of me, but pretty crazy. Central processing unit. So yeah, these, I guess I kind of mull over this point. I'm assuming everybody understands this by now, but this is where your computer is processing, right? Your data goes in, it's calculated, instructions are stored in its memory, in the computer memory. So this is, you want to think of this as the brain of whatever kind of digital interface you're using, right? It does the calculations for you. The storage, where you're saving things, like where do you save the operating system? Where do you save applications? Where do you save a document? So this is kind of getting a little bit technical, but as I mentioned before, if you're going out and you're continuing on with a or a undergraduate degree of media study, you should be able to understand the differences between these two and why they matter. And I'm just going to give you the general breakdown. Solid state drives, there's no moving parts inside. It's like flash memory. It's all solid. Benefits of that are that when you, like if you were to drop the computer, it's less likely to be damaged, right? Versus like a spinning hardware or spinning hard drive disk would be. Specifically because like this arm right here, it pivots down here, and this tip goes over and under all these spinning disks. So it's not just one disk in a hard drive. It's usually like 4 or 5 or something like that disks stacked on top of one another with a little bit of space in between, and this arm goes and extends and writes to it. So With the hard drive, you're limited on how fast the disks can spin, how fast the arm can spin accurately, and then while that arm is like writing data in one spot, it can't also read data from a different spot, right? Whereas the solid state drive, it's all there all the time. It doesn't have to move to access. So it is much faster. Because solid state is newer, it is more expensive. So, less reliable, more expensive doesn't sound like a great thing, right? But in general, if you do have that to run your operating system and your applications, your computer is like tremendously more beneficial in using. When I've been talking about my 11-year-old MacBook Pro here, it just now, like until today, I had assumed like, oh yeah, I can still use this for my personal use. But now that I can't even connect reliably to a server for a video feed, like it's officially RIP. It's officially RIP. I'm digging a hole in the backyard later today. So, point about that is I upgraded it a while ago, like 4 or 5 years in, so that it had a solid state drive and a hard disk drive. So it ran faster, but also stored data more efficiently. So some of you, if you've gotten a computer in the last several years, you might have what's called a fusion drive, which is technically you have both of these in your computer, and it's set up to do the same thing my computer is set up to do. Run as fast as it can while also being secure. Somebody have a question, comment?
Would you say that SSDs were less reliable or more reliable than HDDs?
They are less reliable. Well, if you drop them, like moving them around, they're going to be more reliable. But in terms of like long-term storage, they're not going to be as reliable.
So I've heard the exact opposite of that. I've heard SSDs are pretty much the best way to store long term because the way it holds charges, it can't really be taken away without the proper procedures. But hard drive disks fail after like a certain amount of time, no matter what.
Yeah, no, I mean, all this stuff on these lectures is things I've looked up in like a couple years ago, and I haven't really updated them since then. So yeah, if people have, oh, is our class over? No, or 5:40 or 5:50?
Yeah, we're like 5 minutes over.
Oh, I thought it was till 5:50. Did we get reduced 10 minutes because of COVID? Does anybody know? On the hub, I'm pretty sure it says 5:50. I'm not sure. I can't remember. So, yeah, everybody's good to go, I guess. You could just flip through the rest of these if you want to on your own time. I mean, some of this stuff will be in the quiz, like these digital measurements. That stuff's in the vocab, though, so you can check it out. But yeah, everybody else is good to go. If you want to, I'll see you guys Wednesday. But yeah, as far as the SSD hard drive thing, from my understanding, if you go to buy an external drive for your computer to like back it up, you're pretty much always going to be getting a hard drive disk because of that sense that it is more reliable. And as far as my past research has gone, all like cloud computing data, like hubs, like Google Drive or something, all of those facilities are utilizing hard drives. So unless there's been a complete overhaul of the reliability, that's my understanding. But
Yeah, all the big data storage places still use them, and they actually have the special drives which are like designed for shake proof. It's the mean time between failure is much higher. But I think that some of the older SSDs aren't as reliable, but the new ones that are coming out, I think, are just bad. I mean, they're significantly more expensive.
oh, sure.
I think, and they can withstand, drops and whatnot, but I let you in.
Yeah.
It's like you can't really, you're not really prone to catastrophic data failure.
Yeah, because like you just mentioned, my solid state I put in my old computer. Within 6 months, I just turned on my computer one day, and my operating system was gone, so I couldn't even boot up, right? So I had a backup. I had to reinstall the OS, and then I was good to go. But it just, for no reason, it just wiped itself. So yeah, I could see that over time. It's been improved upon. So yeah, I'll have to do more research, so that I'm not fake news over here. Yeah, if anybody has follow ups on anything like this, I'm always interested to get an update on. Um,
There's
Go
a
ahead.
really cool video of how an SSD works down to the basic like particles and whatnot and how
Hmm.
it stores data. It's actually really cool. I'll send it to you, but it like goes
Yeah,
all the way in and then zooms out and shows you like all the different arrays and highways of information.
nice. Yeah, that'd be sweet. I'd check that out if you send it to me. Um, cool. Yeah. Sorry, I went over. I'll have to double check the time thing because I thought we were 5:50. I don't know. Maybe it's something to do like if you're in person, leave an extra 10 minutes, or I don't remember the specifications. But is there any of you guys that are still here? Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I actually had a question. So I'm off my phone because my laptop had like some issues. I meant to ask this during class. How exactly is like the audio section gonna relate to like the digital art? Like you know that one week of audio that we're doing with like Audacity, I think you said.
Yep. So
So
yeah. So all of our topics that we cover, they end up starting to blend into one another a little bit. So like so for instance, when we stop, like when we start in class working on Illustrator, you guys will still have like a week or two to like hang on a second. I think I glitched out again. You guys hear me now? Yeah, it's so weird. I can actually see all of your video feeds just go blank, and then I know like it cut out. But I don't have a connection. Like my connection isn't dropping, so I'm sure it's some kind of network problem. I'll have to figure it out. Um, Audio, right? Somebody asked about audio. I don't know who
yeah,
did.
it was me.
Oh, okay. I don't know names yet, and I didn't see. Oh yeah, because you said you're on your phone. Um, Yeah, all of the projects will overlap a little bit. So just because it's like shown 1 week of audio, um, that's just like in class time that we're going to spend on it. And then you'll still have like, a week or two before it'll be due. So audio for this class purposes is just to get you introduced to how to capture audio, how to interface it, layer it, rework it, experiment with it to some extent, whatever you would like to do based on your concepts, right? Kind of continuing on that notion of like following a pattern of between like concept and developing to your final piece, and then that's the audio project. But then we are also then able to utilize audio with our interactions. And the expectation there is when you, like, say, point and click on something, you should have audio that's pairing well to that interaction so that it feels more intuitive, so it feels more real, right? Like when you first get a new phone and you're tapping on the keyboard, it has like little clicks, right? And everybody turns that shit off after a couple weeks. But that's one example is where it's basically like one small project on audio, but then just to kind of get an overview of how to use everything, very basic level, and then utilizing whatever you need to then incorporate into an interactive environment as well. So it's still very low key, but a couple different levels for you. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Cool. Anybody else questions?
I have a question.
Yep.
The examples that you showed for the different projects, they were really good. So like, you have to be like X Games mode from the get go, or is it like is it really truly beginner?
Yeah, that's a good question. Those I don't really save anything that's like utter poop, like over 5 years I probably accumulate like 20 gigs. I don't know. I'm just shooting from the hip here. Like 20 gigs per class. And so as time goes on, just like files in your cabinet, you get rid of stuff, right? So just like me upkeeping my own student kind of portfolio. I just keep things that are more successful, right? So I guess that's just examples of like what you should be aiming to shoot for. I know everybody's at different levels, right? And I take everything into account, but you'll find.
In the comments, I don't know how to code either, so it's kind of like.
Yeah, and I think I might have. I mentioned that I think maybe to the other class only. I thought I mentioned to this class. Coding is also going to be pretty entry level as well. Every time I have students, they kind of fight it. They treat coding as like some kind of like angry monster or something. Like monster under your bed kind of mentality. But once we go over like the very easy to use tutorials, everything makes like full sense. The thing about this coding is that you get a visual and auditory response in real time. So every time you make a change, you can see how it's working or it's not working. Versus if you're coding in like HTML for web or some kind of like, if you're coding some, I don't know, Python or something, it's very technical and very hard to wrap your head around it from like an entry level point. So this class is designed to be an entry level for all these different categories. But I think a lot of that too is not realizing how important developing a concept is. And so as we go through that process as well of really breaking down generating an idea and executing the idea, that helps drive the visuals as well, like the whole project in general. So after you walk through that process of like getting an idea, you'll get excited about said topic. You'll do whatever kind of interested research to grab content from and start compiling. It's a pretty lackadaisical course, I can tell you. So I don't think anybody, like, everybody should be excited to be in this class. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. Anybody else?
Yeah, I had a question.
Sure.
I'm sorry if I missed it, but do we have something due for next class, or like anything to read, or not really?
Just in the sense that like you should probably just cover the syllabus. I covered most of it, but there is that vocab that I'm hopefully setting up quizzing for. I think the quiz is on next Monday. It's really, very short amount of content though. So yeah, I mean, realistically, like you need to figure out if you're getting free Adobe CC or not, and like get that set up. Buy a sketchbook and markers to have, because you'll need those for the weekend. And then, like vocab and or syllabus brief over those. But I don't know. I guess that's not really like an assignment, so to speak. It's just kind of prepping yourself for the semester. So, nope, that's it for this first day.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Cool, guys. Sounds good. I'll see ya. Hopefully you'll see me on Wednesday. Cool. Take care.